The right to internet is a fundamental right, but in according to last year's Kerala High Court judgment,
Mhm.
right to internet is a fundamental right under Article 21, right to education. But recent Supreme Court judgment, it is a fundamental right under Article 19 regarding Jammu and Kashmir issue.
Mhm.
So, sir, if there is a question under which article will be question?
It falls under both. It falls under actually both 19 as well as
It
21
falls under
because
Article 19 as per the recent judgment.
yes, yes. See, it depends upon the context. Actually, Supreme Court has the power of interpretation of the Constitution of India, and if such type of questions arises, then the Supreme Court of India interprets it, right? And we also know that Supreme Court of India also has a right to review its own judgment. Like suppose in earlier case, if the Supreme Court said that under Article 21, right to internet or right to life, or what you can say like right to marry with one's personal choice is a right of the people under Article 21. If Supreme Court has interpreted in that way, the Supreme Court can change its interpretation even after that. So the interpretation of the Supreme Courts are not binding on itself. It can have the review on its own judgment. And again, we know that it depends upon how the Supreme Court interprets that particular context, like in what context that case is filed. Like because in case of Kerala, why it included under Article 21, because those people who wanted to, what we can say, take the help of the internet for education purpose, like for
Yes.
taking information, for what we can say, for taking classes, or maybe like for taking information. In that context, obviously it will come under Article 21, because we know that under Article 21, Article 21A is right to education, and also right to life, and again a dignified life is a right to, or we can say, right of the person under Article 21. So in that context, Kerala High Court declared that that is under what we can say the Article 21. But in Jammu and Kashmir issue, why Supreme Court said that right to internet is a right to fundamental right? Because in Jammu and Kashmir issue, people wanted to express their views. People wanted to express their, what you can say, ideas about the scrapping of Article 370, or people wanted to, what you can say, express their, what you can say, their anger about the Article 370 scrapping, right? So here under Article
Yes.
19, the people of the country or the citizens of the country have the right of free speech and expression. So in that context, here under Article 19, right to internet was declared as what you can say under Article 19. So again, you don't think that कि अगर ये particular Supreme Court ने अगर judgment दिया हुआ है, तो वो it is not an hard and fast rule. Supreme Court has the flexibility of reinterpreting it once again. It has a flexibility of reviewing its judgment once again. So depending upon the context, you can, what you can say, file anything under any fundamental right. Right? And in fact, Article 21 is one such, what you can say, the fundamental right, that any, what you can say, the thing can be included into the right to life and personal liberty. Got it? Clear ho gaya ye?
Yes.
Why Supreme Court under Article 19 and why Kerala High Court put it in under Article 21? Because the context is different. When the petition is filed into the Supreme Court, the context matters a lot while giving the judgment.
Okay, sir.
Fine?
So there is one more question. Sir, in Government of India Act 1935, in Lakshmikant, there is a statement it provided for the establishment of Reserve Bank of India. So, but in one of the tests, this same statement was given, and it was wrong, and the explanation was establishment of RBI is by RBI Act 1934, and this is not the correct statement.
Okay. Okay, I don't know. Yes, I have read about article like Government of India Act 1935, and obviously it was passed into the what you can say, into the Parliament in 1934. But I guess its enactment started in 1935. So I should Government of India Act 1935 is the correct answer. But anyways, I don't think UPSC may ask questions on this particular fact. But you need to know that Reserve Bank of India was established in 1935 to regulate the increasing banking sector in India during the British India. Like during British India, many banks have started, and we know that increasing number of the banks required control and regulation of the, what you can say, the banking sector, and that is why the British government in 1935 thought of creation of a central bank or a regulatory and monetary bank, and that is why they have created Reserve Bank of India in 1935. That concept you need to know. ठीक है, यस यास्मीन, यू हैव एनी डाउट्स?
सर जैसे क्वेश्चन आता है
बोलिए, कंटिन्यू।
किस टाइम पे जैसे कि ऑन विच डेट द डुअल फंक्शन ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली एंडेड, तो क्या आंसर होगा सर आपके हिसाब से?
ऑन विच डेट द
26 नवंबर 1949।
या हाँ, ऑब्वियसली व्हेन इट वाज गॉट अडॉप्टेड इन,
ये हम नहीं कह सकते क्योंकि सर 26 मतलब डिबेट हो सकती है। क्या दो ऑप्शन है, 26 नवंबर भी, 49 भी है, 50 भी है, क्योंकि 50 को पार्लियामेंट में चेंज हो गई थी, उसका डुअल फंक्शन खत्म हुआ था 50 से, जो हम दोनों साइन खत्म कर दिया था, पर 50 तक तो वो चला था ना। 50 में वो फाइनली डिसॉल्व हुई थी कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली का काम, क्योंकि बीच में हमने नेशनल फ्लैग वगैरह भी अडॉप्ट किया, तो उसमें भी सबने सिग्नेचर वगैरह तो किए ही थे, तो 50 होना चाहिए इस हिसाब से तो।
yes, क्योंकि on 26 November 1949 we have adopted the Constitution of India and it was being started implemented in 26 January 1950, and we know the dual functions of the Constituent Assembly. One was to make the law, make the constitution, as well as what you can say to act as a interim what you can say the legislative body. So obviously जो dual functioning to जो था वो final 26 January 1950 तक वो चला था, बट आई डोंट थिंक कि यूपीएससी ऐसा कोई सवाल पूछेगा कि कौन से डेट पे एंड हुआ था। ऐसे सवाल पहले बिफोर 2010 यूपीएससी यूज्ड टू आस्क सच क्वेश्चंस, बट आई डोंट थिंक नाउ यूपीएससी might ask you such question कि कौन से डेट पे एंड हुआ था, because again as you were saying कि there can be an ambiguity, there can be an what you can say the two thoughts about it. So ऐसे जो questions होते हैं जिसमें दो thoughts हो सकते हैं, normally यूपीएससी do not frame questions on that. Fine.
ये सब क्योंकि सर कुछ टाइम से ऐसे क्वेश्चन आ रहे हैं जिनमें हालांकि फैक्चुअल नहीं, पर जैसे कल जो हम क्वेश्चन डिस्कस कर रहे थे जिसमें आपने कहा था कि छोड़ना विल बी द बेस्ट ऑप्शन, कि हमारे हिसाब से लिबर्टी की जो डेफिनेशन आजकल आ रही है ना, जिसमें हम अपने हिसाब से इंटरप्रेट करते हैं कि व्हाट अकॉर्डिंग टू मी इज लिबर्टी, या जो है तो वो सबके हिसाब से अलग अलग हो सकता है।
राइट,
तो ऐसे क्वेश्चन आ रहे हैं सर जिसमें हो रहे हैं, काफी ज्यादा कंफ्यूजिंग स्टेटमेंट भी आ जाते हैं।
Okay, can you give me the example of such questions like which you gone through previously and where you got an ambiguity? We will try to discuss few questions.
Yes sir, वो एक तो कल वाला क्वेश्चन ही था एग्जैक्टली, और दूसरा एक और भी क्वेश्चन है, मैं एक सेकंड।
सर एमपी वाला क्वेश्चन भी था, ऐसा ही एम्बिगुअस था, वोट्स ऑफ एमपी ऑफ लोकसभा एंड राज्यसभा, जिसमें कलेक्टिव वोट वर्सेस सिंगल वोट।
वो तो क्लियर है, उसमें क्या एम्बिग्यूटी है, उसमें तो मुझे नहीं लगा, वो एकदम क्लियर है क्वेश्चन।
ठीक है, चलिए, तो ओके, सो Bagisha, you find out the question. Till down I will go to the some other what you can say person. So if you want any doubts you can ask, right? Piyush, do you have any doubts? Have you covered all the topics which I have given you yesterday?
सर एक रह गया था,
एक रह गया,
बाकी तो सारे हो गए थे।
ठीक है, चलिए, तो ठीक है, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं। क्वेश्चंस देखा आपने, प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस?
यस सर।
ठीक है, so you got an idea how the UPSC is framing questions. You have seen all the questions or you have seen only the topics which you have read, which you have read yesterday?
सर लास्ट 3 इयर्स से रिलेटेड जो क्वेश्चन मतलब जो टॉपिक्स थे उनसे रिलेटेड
क्वेश्चंस आपने देखे हुए। ठीक है, चलिए। हाँ यास्मीन, आपको कोई डाउट है?
हाँ सर, हाउ डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल्स आर नॉन जस्टिफिएबल इन नेचर?
Because Article 37 has clearly mentioned that DPSPs are not enforceable in front of the court, but nevertheless it said that it should be fundamental in the governance of the country. So justiciable, actually ये जो word जो है ना, justiciable and non justiciable, this has been used actually in Lakshmikant, but हमारा जो ओरिजिनल जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है, ओरिजिनल कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में इसको नॉन एनफोर्सेबल इन फ्रंट ऑफ द कोर्ट कहा गया है, राइट? एंड इवन यूपीएससी का भी जो क्वेश्चन है उसमें भी अगर आप देखोगे तो उसमें यही वर्ड यूज किया गया है, दैट डीपीएसपीज आर नॉट एनफोर्सेबल इन फ्रंट ऑफ एनी कोर्ट इन इंडिया, ये स्टेटमेंट यूज किया गया है। सो रादर देन सेइंग जस्टिसेबल एंड नॉन जस्टिसेबल, यू शुड से नॉन एनफोर्सेबल। तो नॉन एनफोर्सेबल का मतलब होता है कि if any DPSP is not implemented or executed by the state, because DPSPs are what? DPSPs are certain guidelines which are given to the state to what you can say to implement it, right? ये कुछ guidelines दिए गए state को जो implement करना चाहिए. But agar suppose if the what you can say some of the DPSPs or if any DPSP is not what you can say implemented or it is not executed by the state, then citizens of India cannot go to the court and ask the state to execute that particular what you can say the DPSP. Like in case of fundamental rights, we have seen that in case of fundamental right, if anyone's fundamental right is violated, then you can directly go to the court and ask the court to re-establish that violated fundamental right. But in case of DPSP, that is directive principle of the state policies, you cannot go to the court and ask the government to implement it, because there are certain limitations, there are certain emissions, there are certain problems why certain DPSPs are not being implemented. Because Article 41 again says that the DPSP should be implemented as the economic capacity of the state increases, as well as it mentioned that as the what you can say the consensus created among the people regarding that particular what you can say a particular issue, then only the DPSP can be implemented. Like you can see that Uniform Civil Code is a fine example where the government has still not implemented this DPSP because a consensus has not still been created that whether we should come whether we should bring that Uniform Civil Code or not. So in that sense, DPSPs, although they are guidelines given to the state policy and although they are fundamental in the governance of the country, the state shall, what you can say, take these guidelines, these directions which are given under the Constitution of India in the DPSP chapter. It should be kept in mind while making any laws, but they are not enforceable. Court government को force नहीं कर सकते कि आप इसको क्या करना, आप इस act को pass करना है. So that in that sense, the DPSPs are not enforceable in front of the court as per Article 37. Have you read Article 37, Yasmin? You can just read it out.
Yes, sir,
Article 37, it is clearly mentioned that although these directions which are given to the Constitution of India, they are not enforceable in front of the court, but nevertheless, they are fundamental in the governance of the country. And that is why they are not enforceable in front of the court. Got it? और ये जो मैं बोल रहा हूँ ना कि the word जो use किया गया justiciable and non-justiciable, this is actually a wrong word which is used in Lakshmikant. ठीक है?
ओके सर, वो जस्टिसेबल और नॉन जस्टिसेबल होने की वजह से कंफ्यूज हो रहा था.
ठीक है,
थैंक यू.
चलिए, एनीथिंग एल्स? हाँ
सर, ज्यादा फर्क पड़ता है क्या जब हम आंसर में अगर जस्टिसेबल नॉन जस्टिसेबल के बजाय एनफोर्सेबल लिखें या फिर एनफोर्सेबल के बजाय जस्टिसेबल लिखें?
ज्यादा तो फर्क नहीं
पड़ता है कि
ज्यादा तो फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, बट सपोज इफ यू रीड नॉन एनफोर्सेबल, लाइक अगर आप आंसर लिख रहे हैं, इफ यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट आंसर राइटिंग, इफ यू राइट नॉन एनफोर्सेबल, सो द एग्जामिनर जो होगा उसको ये पता चलेगा कि यस शी हैज रेड व्हाट यू कैन से द ओरिजिनल कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, शी हैज नॉट रेड लक्ष्मीकांत. सो व्हेन यू यूज नॉन एनफोर्सेबल, इट इज टू प्रिसाइज while you use non-justiciable. ज्यादा फर्क तो नहीं पड़ता है, but it gives a kind of what you can say a positive impression among the examiner if he is examining your answer. Fine?
Okay, sir.
चलिए. Yes, Shweta, you want to ask something? Shweta, are you there, right? Shweta Sharma or Shweta Malap? I don't know which Shweta you are.
Sir, Pranali.
अच्छा, Pranali. बार श्वेता से नावाने लॉगिन करेगा तू. प्लीज कैन यू म्यूट योरसेल्फ प्रणाली?
हाँ सर.
म्यूट कर, थोड़ा डिस्टर्बेंस होता है. हेलो. यस, all of you please mute yourself unless you are asking doubts, then only you should unmute yourself. Yes, anything else? Any other doubt? Yes, Piyush, you have any doubts for the yesterday's revision which you have done in the yesterday's revision topics? Hello, am I audible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Bagisha, you got a question which you are asking.
सर मुझे मिल नहीं रहा है, लेकिन एक दो क्वेश्चन तो थे. एक तो कल ही जो हम डिस्कस कर रहे थे कि लिबर्टी वाला क्वेश्चन था ना, जो आपने कहा था दैट इज टू सब्जेक्टिव. दो कोई भी ऑप्शन हो सकते थे. जो है वो मतलब एक क्वेश्चन था और एक और क्वेश्चन है इट वाज मतलब ये था कि वो प्रेसिडेंट के प्लेजर पे काम करता है. पहला स्टेटमेंट ये था और दूसरा एक सेम स्टेटमेंट और भी था कि जो यूनियन मिनिस्टर्स हैं दे वर्क ऑन द कॉन्फिडेंस ऑफ द पार्लियामेंट, क्या उनको कॉन्फिडेंस चाहिए, तो वो सेम ईयर में दोनों स्टेटमेंट ये रिपीट हुआ है। तो सर मुझे ये पूछना था कि यूनियन मिनिस्टर की जगह वो काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर होना चाहिए ना, अगर हम स्पेसिफिकली बोलना चाहें तो, क्योंकि फिर दोनों तो कॉन्ट्रडिक्टरी हो गए ना, कि अगर प्रेसिडेंट के विल पे या प्लेजर पे वो काम कर रहा है और उसको मतलब पार्लियामेंट का पूरा वो भी चाहिए कि पार्लियामेंट का भी कॉन्फिडेंस होना चाहिए, तो या तो वर्ड गलत है, वो मुझे समझ नहीं आया।
both are actually right, both are actually right, because see, confidence of the parliament, it means what, कि जब तक there is something called no confidence motion, पार्लियामेंट में एक नो कॉन्फिडेंस मोशन पास होता है।
yes, sir.
तो उसका मतलब होता है कि दैट पार्लियामेंट मींस लोकसभा, एक्चुअली नॉट राज्यसभा, इट्स अबाउट लोकसभा। सो लोकसभा का जो कॉन्फिडेंस है वो उस काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर पे होना चाहिए। इफ द काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर, not only council of minister, even if the confidence is not with even a single minister of the council of minister, then it is considered as a collective responsibility of the council of minister. Even if a no confidence motion is passed against one minister, then also the whole council of minister has to resign it, right? So in that sense, the confidence of the parliament or the confidence of the local Lok Sabha means what, कि whatever is being carried or whatever the action or whatever the policies or whatever being is done by the government, they have to done with the confidence of the Lok Sabha. If they lose the confidence in Lok Sabha, it means what, that they are no longer what you can say can serve as a government of India. So in that sense, the parliament का भी जो confidence है वो होना चाहिए। Now coming to the pleasure of the President of India, why it is called as pleasure of the President of India? Because the Prime Minister is appointed by the President on, or you can say, on the basis of the majority support which he has in the Parliament. But at the same time, other ministers are appointed by the President on the advice of Prime Minister. Am I right? ये आपको पता होगा कि other ministers are appointed on the advice of the Prime Minister to Prime Minister. And suppose agar Prime Minister, because since Prime Minister is head of this, what you can say, the executive, he is head of the council of minister, and if Prime Minister feels that some of the minister is not working properly, then he can recommend to the President to remove that person as a minister. So here the Prime Minister is recommending to the President to remove that what you can say, the minister person as a
but
minister.
sir, even Prime Minister is also working on the pleasure of President,
no,
वो council of ministers तो
no. Prime Minister is not working on the pleasure of President. Prime Minister अगर उसका like if his post has to be gone in, then Parliament can remove it. President cannot remove it. Because the Prime Minister और Chief Minister, ये जो पोस्ट है वो कब तक रहेगी, जब तक या तो पार्लियामेंट में या लोकसभा में मेजोरिटी सपोर्ट उसको रहेगा, या तो लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली में चीफ मिनिस्टर है तो लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली में जिसको ज्यादा सपोर्ट रहेगा तब तक वो प्राइम मिनिस्टर चीफ मिनिस्टर रह सकता है। Like president cannot remove the pleasure of the minister, इसका मतलब pleasure of the president इसका मतलब ये नहीं होता है कि president का pleasure है, it actually means the pleasure of the council of minister. Got it? So in that sense, the prime minister who is elected by the president of India, actually he remains on that post till he enjoys the confidence of the house. Got it? So in that sense, president can remove any minister if the prime minister advise, or if my prime minister ask the president to remove one particular person as a minister, then the president has to remove it. And in that case, the council of ministers do not need to resign. But if the no confidence motion is passed in parliament against one particular minister, then the whole council of ministers has to resign. ये दोनों में फर्क समझ में आ गया?
Yes, sir.
ठीक है, जब भी कोई एक इंडिविजुअल मिनिस्टर रिजाइन करता है तो वो इंडिविजुअल कैपेसिटी में रिजाइन करता है, वो खुद से रिजाइन करता है, बिकॉज प्राइम मिनिस्टर इज नॉट हैप्पी और द पार्टी इज नॉट हैप्पी, कुछ भी हो सकता है उस केस में, एंड दैट रेजिग्नेशन गोज टू द प्रेसिडेंट. बट अगर लोकसभा में अगर किसी मिनिस्टर के खिलाफ में नो कॉन्फिडेंस अगर पास होता है तो होल काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर हैज टू रिजाइन. दैट इज व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस between the pleasure of the president here and the confidence of the house there.
तो फिर आप अगर फिर एट द लास्ट हम ये कम्प्लीमेंट कर सकते हैं कि दोनों चीजें अलग अलग है, मतलब
दोनों चीजें अलग अलग है और दोनों चीजें सही है.
नहीं देख सकते.
यस, दोनों चीजें अलग अलग है और दोनों चीजें सही भी है. बोथ आर ट्रू, बोथ द स्टेटमेंट्स आर ट्रू. फाइन. ठीक है. I guess your network is not proper, Bigisha. I'm not getting your voice clearly. Yes. Anything else? Hello.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
सर जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूंट असेंबली में जो इलेक्शन किया गया था वो बाय द पीपल डायरेक्ट इलेक्टेड बाय द पीपल थे मेंबर्स या फिर
इनडायरेक्टली इनडायरेक्ट
वो
इलेक्टेड
समझ
indirect election
हाउ
मतलब क्या
सर
है?
इनडायरेक्ट
I will explain this to how it was indirectly elected. Do you know that there were elections held in 1937 as per the Government of India Act 1935? मॉडर्न इंडिया में हमने देखा था कि 1937 में एज पर गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एक्ट 1935 के हिसाब से इलेक्शन हुए थे 1937 में. And again in 1939 the Congress ministry have resigned it. But after the end of the war in 1945, again the elections were held once again as per the Government of India Act 1935. प्रोविंशियल लेवल ऑटोनॉमी दी गई थी और प्रोविंशियल लेवल पे गवर्नमेंट भी एस्टेब्लिश किए गए थे और इलेक्शन का प्रोसेस जो था वो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया 1935 से शुरू हुआ था, राइट. सो द मेंबर्स ऑफ द Constituent Assembly were elected by the people of the provincial, what you can say, the councils, right? So those provincial councils which have been created in 1945 as per the elections. So those who got elected as the members of the provincial legislative councils, they have elected the members of the they are member of the Constituent Assembly. So that is why it is called indirect election. Like अभी हम हमारे राज्यसभा में जो members जो elect होते हैं वो कैसे elect होते हैं? How the members of the Rajya Sabha are elected now? Indirectly. कैसे होते हैं? We elect the MLAs and MLAs elect the Rajya Sabha members, right? Similarly, at that time, the people have elected the members of the provincial councils directly, and those members of the provincial councils have sent their representative to the Constituent Assembly, and that is why they are called as indirect elections. That is why they are called as indirectly elected, and members from the princely states were nominated directly by the rulers. The members from the princely states were nominated, while the from the provincial they were indirectly elected. समझ में आ गया?
Yes, sir.
चलिए चलिए. Any other doubts, Moin?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. Chaliye, so this is the first session is ended now. In next session, I will be discussing with you the today's, what you can say, the topics which I have included in today's, what you can say, the revision plan. So, and why I have included those topics, that also I will discuss with you, right? So we can say that most of the questions are asked from fundamental rights, preamble, DPSP. ये तो सवाल पूछे जाते हैं. Nowadays factual questions they are not asking, for conceptual question they are asking. But there are some other topics also on which repeatedly the questions are being asked, which I have included in today's what you can say, the plan. So why I have included it, and we will be discussing few questions related to those topics also, and how the questions are being asked from those topics which I have included today, that we will discuss in the next session, right? So 1 minute is left. I guess the session will expire. So I will, you have to join again using the same link again. So to carry on with the next session. So just I'm ending this session. We'll continue in the next session.
Okay.